The meeting had grown out of a church calling where I, along with several women, found myself on a Relief Society committee organized to help women in our stake feel the love of the Lord in their lives more deeply and on a more frequent basis. We planned to use our stake women's conference as at least one of the places where we could do this. As members of the committee, we felt that we could move forward in our assignment if we first learned better for ourselves what it means to live more consistently with softened, more open hearts, hearts that are more available to God and to others, souls that were less flat. And so we decided to put all of the other usual tasks, such as designing invitations, making decorations, preparing refreshments, deciding on speakers, and the like, temporarily aside, and experiment personally with the principles we hope to teach at the conference. We knew that when we felt loved by the Lord, we automatically treated other people more lovingly. But we wondered if we could perhaps do more to initiate a change in the condition of our own hearts that would then result in our feeling an added measure of love from the Lord, and in turn help others feel His love. And the circle could continue. We all wondered, could this be an accurate hypothesis? Could we actually alter the condition of our own hearts in a way that would make it possible to split the sky in two and let the face of God shine through? Why not devise an experiment? All 8 of us were eager to begin, but also a bit cautious. We each had busy lives and a history of failed programs and resolves. We were wary of making a list, no matter how small, of more things to do. We wondered, really wondered, if our hypothesis could be verified. Would simply opening our hearts to others also invite Him into our hearts? In the past, we felt we had prayed for His love to fill our hearts. Then we turned toward others with a softened heart. This would be starting at the other end, if you will. We didn't know what would happen, but this was to be an experiment. So we went forward, feeling that we had nothing to lose and perhaps a great deal to learn. We were experimenting with principles in the tradition of Alma. As we opened our hearts in love, we wondered if the seeds would in fact swell and begin to enlarge our souls, or if they would just shrivel up and blow away on a breeze. As a committee, we outlined a plan to simply be more aware of the condition of our hearts, and with this awareness, crack them open a bit wider. We agreed to do this during encounters that would present themselves in the natural flow of our lives. Then we would honestly report what had occurred. Those were the rules of the experiment, the only rules. The 8 of us thought it seemed quite easy, and our expectations were modest. We got out our little planners and agreed on a Thursday evening in May when we would gather again and report what, if anything, had happened. As you might expect, the month passed ever so swiftly, and there we were on a warm spring evening in a circle of chairs in my living room, where Ellen was to be the first to describe her experience. We went over the purpose of the experiment, our desire to open our hearts to others in the hopes that they could feel the love of the Lord more fully in their lives. We reiterated the rules of what we were now calling our awareness experiment. 1, to be more aware of the condition of our hearts, and with that awareness to keep them more open toward others. 2, to do this in the normal course of our lives, in other words, not put any extra activities into our day, no extra visits, no preparing of casseroles, etc. Above all, people were not to become projects, and our lives were not to be filled with more things to do. 3, notice the Spirit and be willing to come together and honestly report what happened or hadn't happened. Well, going back to that evening in May, we gathered. The time for honestly reporting had arrived, and only Ellen was initially prepared to break the silence. Only Ellen, with her neatly written 3x5 card, felt that she had participated in the experiment, that she had done it right. The rest of us were mumbling about how fast time had flown. However, after Ellen finished her report, the rest of us hesitantly began to reach back into our memories of the past weeks for those moments that might have seemed quite small at the time, but as we sat together, were beginning to seem more significant. I forgot all about it until now, but there was this one morning, I recalled, wondering if what I was about to say would sound stupid. I was doing the usual long list, telephone, other things, I don't know, and my doorbell rang. It was Anne, a neighbor whom I teach. Except for an occasional wave as we come and go in the neighborhood, she's someone I usually see only when I do my monthly visiting. She had stopped by because someone dropped off something for me at her work, knowing that she lived near me and could conveniently return it. I opened the door to take it from her and thank her, and just as I was about to say, "Have a great day," and wave her on, I thought about our experiment and about my little closed heart. Bingo! Open it up, Virginia. So almost instantaneously I heard myself say, "Have you got a minute to come in?" This is hard to believe because I always think that everyone else is in a hurry, like me, and that I shouldn't impose. But much to my surprise, she said, "Sure," and came right in. We sat down in the living room and chatted away. We ended up laughing and talking comfortably for a few minutes, and then she went on her way. As I continued talking, I lost my hesitancy. Yes, this was important, not stupid. I stopped, thought of my friend Anne and our conversation warming to the memory. Maybe I'm making too much out of this, but I have a feeling that everything is just a little different for the two of us now. We're friends, even balanced friends. I mean, I called her later that day for a telephone number. I'd never done that before. I'm no longer just her visiting teacher who goes to her living room. She's been in my house. We're regular friends. It's an open heart thing. I thought back, irritated with myself, and said, "Me and my schedule and thinking that everyone is punching a time clock. I've got to be tuned into this schedule thing. It's definitely a red flag for me. It's a warning that my heart is shutting down." Now I was really on my soapbox and probably talking a little too loudly. After all, I continued with disgust, I wasn't 15 minutes more behind at the end of the day than I would have been otherwise, and I'll bet she wasn't either. Actually, it turned out to be one of the brightest spots of my week.